If your bird photography always turns out soft or poorly lit, or your photos are just plain boring, it's not your camera, and it's not because you suck at photography. Bird photography is very challenging, and it requires a ton of patience. However, most beginner bird photographers do make the same few mistakes, and I'm going to show you how to fix them fast. Hey, if you're new to the channel, I'm Jeff, and I'm a professional wildlife photographer living in Charleston, South Carolina. And if you're returning to the channel, I just want to welcome you back. It's great to see you again. When it comes to bird photography, most beginners focus on the wrong things. And this brings us directly to the core of three common problems. Number one, beginners chase birds instead of understanding and predicting their behavior. The best thing you can do when photographing birds is figure out the areas with the most bird activity. Then set up your equipment and sit very, very quietly and wait for the birds to come to you. You need to blend in and be part of their environment. And a couple of my favorite wildlife accessories for helping me accomplish this is using a hunting stool and a camo net. This allows me to sit comfortably for long periods of time, and the camo net allows me to just better blend into the scene by disguising my human form. Upon entering any scene, you will also likely notice that the birds kind of start to scatter a little bit. But once you're set up and you're sitting quietly, the birds will return. Generally, you can expect the birds to return within about 5 to 15 minutes. And the more you sit there, the more they're going to return. Usually by 20 to 30 minutes, a lot of the normal activity is resuming. But if you decide to really kind of take the other approach and go chasing the birds, you're in for a very long day and a very frustrating experience. Chasing birds only places more stress on them and causes you to miss a lot of good photo opportunities. Anything you do capture will really be based on luck, and your overall success as a bird photographer will be extremely limited. Number two, beginners often use the wrong camera settings. While your camera isn't to blame, your choice of camera settings is. Many beginners use shutter speeds that are too slow for bird photography, and this is a big reason why they get a lot of blurry or out of focus shots. I believe this is really a result of being taught old school photography techniques, like being taught to use the lowest ISO setting possible. When using low ISO values, beginners are now forced to use slower shutter speeds to get better exposures. And while you might get better exposures, your photos will have soft focus or they will be completely blurry because you couldn't freeze the action. ISO is a topic of conversation we discuss very frequently on this channel. If your camera is somewhat new, let's say within the past 10 or 11 years, ISO is not the cause of noise in your images. The culprit of noise is lack of light. Even when using ISOs of, let's say, 100, if your choice of shutter speed and aperture don't allow sufficient light into your camera's sensor, you're going to get noisy images. Bottom line, don't be afraid to use high ISOs. I use high ISOs like ISO values of 12,800 all the time. In darker environments, this allows me to get better exposures while also being able to use those faster shutter speeds so that I can get the action completely frozen. As wildlife photographers, it's important to understand that using some sort of noise reduction software in our editing process is going to be key in helping us to manage the noise in our images. Unless you have really good lighting, noise reduction software is just really part of the deal when it comes to being a wildlife photographer. Number three, Beginners shoot at the wrong time of day and from poor angles. As a beginner wildlife photographer, you will quickly learn that sunrise and sunset are generally considered the best times of the day to photograph birds and really wildlife in general, right? Because these are the times where wildlife tends to be the most active, right? Due to the morning and evening feedings, and of course the early morning and early evening hours are not as hot, so animals tend to be more active. Sunrise and sunset is also a time in which nature gives us the most beautiful lighting. With lower sun angles, the lighting is soft and it has really rich and warm tones. And this is a recipe for creating beautiful photos. However, while sunrise and sunset are the ideal times to photograph wildlife, it doesn't mean that your schedule will allow for it. Chances are you're not a full-time wildlife photographer, right? You don't have the luxury of choosing exactly when you want to go out for your next photo session. Based on the responsibilities you have in life, perhaps the middle of the day might be the only time or the only chance you get to go out and photograph birds. If that's the case, you can still create beautiful images. But the truth of the matter is you're going to have to work a little harder to do so. You will need to find areas that are more shaded, or you will have to go out on a day where maybe there is a little bit more limited sun. You will definitely need to exercise more patience when shooting in the midday, and you'll have to wait for the birds to come into those areas where the lighting is the best. Photographing birds in the harsh sun will typically lead to a lot of shots you have to throw away. Just be persistent. What about your shooting angles? Many beginners forget to do what I like to call work the scene. Working the scene is nothing more than capturing your images from various shooting angles and various shooting heights. A good rule of thumb that will instantly improve your photos is getting low. Getting on the eye line of your subject. This is a very quick and simple change that will dramatically improve your photos. Anytime you can capture your subject in a way that differs from how we experience it in everyday real life, the more interesting your photos are going to be. So which one of these three core problems are causing you issues? Maybe you're struggling with one of them, or perhaps you're struggling with all three. Regardless of which ones are causing you a problem, it's okay, right? This is just part of the learning process, and it's part of growing as a photographer. Speaking of growing as a photographer, one of the biggest challenges for beginner as well as intermediate photographers is photo editing. If you want to learn the art of photo editing, then be sure to check out my DxO Photolab 9 Masterclass. It's available at my store, magnoliaphotographysc.com/store. If you want to check out DxO Photolab 9, use the link in the show notes below. If you decide to purchase it, you're going to want to also be sure to use my special discount code at the time of checkout. That code is Magnolia, and that will allow you to receive a 15% off discount on your purchase. If you're not quite ready to purchase it at this point, just go ahead and download a free 30-day free trial and give the program a tryout for yourself. For you beginner photographers who want to learn more about ISO, as we discussed earlier in this video, you can also head over to my store where you can check out my free video, ISO is Fake. Hey, thanks so much for joining me today. And before you go, you might want to check out this next video right here.